Hey everyone, welcome back to Still Worth the Journey. I'm your host Jermaine, and as always, I'm here to share some real talk from my own life. Hoping it might resonate with some of you out there. Today's episode is a tough one, but it's something a lot of us go through. Dealing with the stress of paying bills, especially when work is hard to find and you're feeling hopeless. This isn't just about money. It's about how financial stress can impact your mental health and what you can do to keep your head above water when it feels like you're drowning. If you're struggling right now, I want you to know that you are not alone, and there are always ways to get you through this. Let's get into this. Understanding the impact of financial stress on mental health. Alright, let's start with the obvious. Money problems can really mess with your head. When the bills are piling up and you're struggling to find work, it can feel like the walls are closing in. The anxiety, the fear, the constant stress. It's like carrying a weight on your shoulders that just gets heavier and heavier. I've been there. Times in my life when I couldn't see a way out. When I felt like I was stuck in a hole with no ladder to climb out. And you know what? It's okay to feel that way. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you've failed. It just means you're human. But here's the thing. Letting that stress eat away at you can take a real toll on your mental health. It can lead to feelings of hopelessness, depression, anxiety, and even physical symptoms like headaches, sleepless nights, or a constant feeling of fatigue. And when your mental health starts to suffer, it's even harder to find the motivation and energy to keep pushing forward. So what do we do about it? How do we manage that stress and find a way to keep going, even when things look bleak? That's what I want to focus on next. Tips for managing financial stress and mental health. Alright, let's get into some tips that have helped me when I felt overwhelmed by financial stress. These are small steps, but they can make a big difference. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. First off, it's okay to admit that you're struggling. Sometimes we feel like we have to keep everything bottled up, but that only makes things worse. Talk about what you're going through, whether it's with a friend, a family member, or even writing it down in a journal. Just getting these feelings out can be a huge relief. Number 2, focus on what you can control. When you're in a tough financial situation, it's easy to get lost in the what ifs and the I can't. But focusing on what you can control, even if it's something small, can help you regain a sense of power over your life. Maybe that's setting a small budget, reaching out for help, or taking care of your mental and your physical health. Number 3, break down the problem. Looking at all your bills at once can feel like staring at a mountain that you'll never climb. Instead, break it down. Prioritise what needs to be paid first: rent, utilities, and food. And see if there are any bills that you can wait to be paid or can even be reduced. Contact your service provider. Sometimes they'll work with you on a payment plan or even extensions. Taking it one step at a time can make the situation feel more manageable. Number 4, seek support and resources. There are resources out there that can help when you're struggling financially. Don't be afraid to look into assistance programs like food banks or community services. There's no shame in using these resources. That is what they're there for, times like that. And if you're finding it hard to deal with the emotional toll, consider talking to a therapist or a counsellor. I know it might seem like an extra expense, but your mental health is worth investing in. There are also free or low-cost mental health services available, so it's worth exploring those options too. Number 5, stay connected. When you're feeling hopeless, it's easy to isolate yourself, but staying connected to others, even if it's just a quick phone call or a text, can make a huge difference. Talking to someone who understands what you're going through can lift some of that emotional weight. And if you don't have someone to talk to, there are online communities and support groups where you can connect with others in similar situations. Number 6, take care of your body and your mind. It might sound cliche, but taking care of your physical health can really help your mental health. When you're stressed, it's tempting to skip meals, avoid exercise, or let your sleep routine fall apart. But trying to eat regularly, getting some fresh air, and finding time to relax, even if it is just for a few minutes, can help you feel more grounded and clear-headed. Number 7. Set small, achievable goals. When everything feels overwhelming, setting small, realistic goals can give you a sense of accomplishment and momentum. Maybe it's making one phone call to negotiate a bill, sending out a few job application forms, or just getting out of bed and going for a walk. Celebrate those small wins, they add up over time. Finding hope and moving forward. So, we've talked about acknowledging the stress, focusing on what you can control and taking small steps forward. Now I want to leave you with a message of hope. I know it might not feel like it right now, but things can get better. Life is full of ups and downs, and even when you're at your lowest, there's always a way forward. It might not seem easy, and it might take time, but you're stronger than you think. Remember that you're not alone. So many of us have been through tough financial times, and we've come out the other side. Lean on your support system, take care of your mental health, and keep taking those small steps forward. The reason I brought this to an episode today is because 2 years ago I had £25,000 worth of debt, and I was struggling. I didn't know how to get out of it. Every single wage packet was literally zeroed because it all went on my rent, my bills, the food, the kids, the clothing, the car, the fuel, the council tax, you name it, every single penny went onto it. It also went onto loans and other things that I had debt with. It got me in a real mess, a real pickle. And because I was so het up about it and bottled it all up, it was causing an implosion within inside. My brain was overwhelmed every day going to work, thinking to myself, why do I do this? Why am I getting up to go to work, to live and have no money? Not being able to go out with my friends, not being able to take my kids away, not being able to buy my kids things that they wanted. It was a real struggle. Everything we had to do, we had no money for. So what did I do? I'll tell you the truth. I spoke to a couple of truck driver friends of mine, and we all sat down together on a con call, and we spoke about what I could do. So I started working every other Saturday for extra money. I was getting a lot of money on the Saturdays. It was time and a half, and it was job and knock. So for each Saturday I was getting £210. Over the month that was £420. Obviously minus the tax, you get less. It took me 2 years to become debt free. I have no debt anymore. I am debt free. My credit score is as high as it can be. Currently on Experian at 999. My credit score years ago was below 400. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me. So before you feel like everything is all done and gone, and it's all doom and gloom, and you feel like there's no way out, trust me there is. Sit down, write your budget, put your wages, and then put down all your outgoings and see what you've got left over. What can you do without? I was spending £300 on cigarettes a month. I've now stopped smoking the cigarettes and I've changed it for a vape, which only cost me £20 for the month. What other things can we do without? Do we really need takeaways every single week? No, we don't. Why not twice a month or once a month as a treat? Putting these small things in order and prioritising what you really want or what you really need is what you need to do. It might be hard to sacrifice some things that you really like, but in order for you to achieve your goals and to become debt free and to be manageable with your budget, unfortunately, that's what you got to do. You have got to sacrifice. That's all I can say on that. Speak to your bank, see if they can stop your bank charges. See if there's a way that you can speak to your The people that you pay your bills to, see if they can lower it each month. If you've got a car on finance, see what they can do. Can you swap it back? Can you get a cheaper car? Do you really need the sports car if you're living over your means? What's the point? You may look good to your friends, but your bank balance doesn't look great. Chop it in. Do you really need that big house that you're renting? Or can you downgrade? Do you really need to go to that 5-star hotel? Again, can you downgrade and go self-catering? Even better, can you go to a caravan site in a place where you live? The UK, for instance, lovely seasides. It's all down to you and what you want. Live by your means, don't overstretch the mark. Don't lease a vehicle that you can't afford. You might look good to everybody else, but to yourself, you're only going to hurt yourself. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to remember that no matter how hopeless things might seem or feel, you are still worth the journey. Keep pushing forward and don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it. Thanks for tuning in to Still Worth the Journey. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with someone else who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Until next time, take care, stay connected, and keep moving forward. You've got this. You've been listening to Still Worth the Journey with Jermaine. Join me next week as we continue exploring life's challenges, finding hope and reminding ourselves that it's all still worth the journey.